Hello, Wildcat families. We are going to get started here in just a few minutes, but wanted to give everyone a chance to jump on. Welcome to Cat Chat Live. This is one of my favorite things that we do here at the Parent and Family Association. My name is Nikki Jenkins. I am the Senior Program Specialist for the Parent and Family Association at the University of Kentucky. And Cat Chat Live is a great place for you to hear from faculty, staff, and other departments about what they're doing and what's going on. It's a great way to get some good information. So throughout the broadcast, you are welcome to post any questions that you may have for our guest speaker in the comments section. And we will try to answer as many questions as we can live. If we can't get to your questions during the live broadcast, we'll be sure to connect with you on Facebook. This broadcast will also be recorded and posted to our Cat Chat Live website tomorrow. So if you were not able to stay for the whole presentation, that's perfectly fine. You'll be able to connect with it later on. So without further ado, I'm going to hand things over to our guest today. Matt is here to talk about FAFSA and the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships. Matt?
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Matt Mazzarona. I work in this Office of Student Financial Aid and Scholarships. And so today, I'm just going to give you a brief rundown of kind of our office, the services we offer, and then some common FAFSA tips while it is prime FAFSA filing season. So first, just a little bit about our office. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. in the wonderful Funkhauser building. We're located on the first floor. Please feel free to stop by at any time. If you aren't able to stop by, though, we do have online and virtual appointments for parents and families. So you can book an appointment with your assigned financial aid counselor or really any financial aid counselor that you please via our website. So our website's kind of a one-stop shop for all things financial aid. You can look at scholarships there, tuition and fees. You can find our directory to find your counselor. If you have financial aid questions, this is a great tool to go to first, just because your answers are more than likely going to be on there because it's just filled with a ton of different information. So how counselors are assigned at the University of Kentucky is by the first letter of their last name. So right now, one of our positions is vacant, so we'll get that filled soon. And then those students with last names N through R will have an assigned financial aid counselor. But at any point, if you need to reach out to any one of us, regardless of alphabet, we'll be more than willing to assist you. But these people should be your first points of contact within our office. So just a little bit about financial aid on the My UK portal, which is something that if you don't already have access to, I'm sure you will at some point. With the My UK portal, there is a financial aid tab, and there you're able to view all of your awards and offers, a breakdown of the semester amounts, when they're paid out, what the status of those awards are. And then also you're able to see anything that may be withholding your financial aid from paying out. So if there's any type of hold, any type of verification hold that may be on your account, and I'll talk about that later on. It's going to show up there, big red exclamation point. So if that's there, you're able to see that and resolve it pretty quickly. So again, like I said previously, for students, you can book an appointment with their assigned counselor, whether you want to do in person or online. And we're going to offer any financial aid counseling, financial planning, budgeting, FAFSA help, anything financial aid related, we're more than willing to assist with. So what I want to talk about first is the FAFSA application. So as you all probably know, FAFSA application's already opened up for the year. Opens up October 1st every single year, has to be filed every single year in order to receive federal and state financial aid. So before I start talking about some of the pitfalls of the FAFSA application, what I wanted to mention is FAFSA verification. So this happens when you're answering your FAFSA application. It's random selection, but also there's certain things that can trigger being selected for FAFSA verification. So what that requires is you basically submitting some sensitive information such as marriage documents, W-2s, 1040s. You'll have to submit that afterwards via our verification portal if you are selected for FAFSA verification. So later on in the presentation, I'll kind of show you some things that you can do to ideally not be selected for verification. But again, sometimes it is just random. So verification at UK, we have our own verification portal. Everything verification related is done in-house and in office. So we're actually able to work with parents, families, students one-on-one in order to complete that verification. Makes the process a lot easier and more efficient. So some common pitfalls regarding the FAFSA application. First thing, the FSA ID. It's the name and the social security number have to match the information that's on the social security card. That's what it's checking. So if for whatever reason you had a name change, but it's not on your social security card, that's a big thing to look out for, because that'll be red flag number one, and it'll cause issues later down the line. Another thing is to just not use high school accounts, mainly because you won't have access to those later on. And this is something that you're going to need access for the following 4 years. So it's always good to set up a separate email to access the FAFSA application. So if a family has the option to use the Irs Data Retrieval tool, then you need to use it. So if you are able to use the automatic Irs tool, it'll prompt you one way or another. It will let you know if you can or cannot. Typically, you can't if you've been a victim of identity theft. But other than that, you should be able to retrieve your Irs data, and I strongly recommend go ahead and doing that, and not entering it manually. So dependency status, for any families or independent students, this is something that I won't spend too much time on. But in order for basically a student to answer yes on any of these three statuses, the student has to the situation has to have occurred after the age of 13. Again, I won't spend too much time on that, but that's pretty much the biggest thing. And if you do answer yes to any of these questions, you'll have to submit later on, more than likely, before the school year starts, some additional documentation, either from the states or the courts. So probably the biggest thing we see is sign and submit. So FAFSAs are completed, they're filled out to the end, but either the parent or the student doesn't sign it. And so that's a big thing to get your FAFSA rejected and kicked back. Even though it does seem like the most common thing, even I at one point forgot to sign my FAFSA. So it's something that's common. It's no big deal. So just make sure you're doing that. But even if for whatever reason you don't do it, you're always able to go back and sign it. Yeah.
Matt, just a clarifying question for families maybe who have never done a FAFSA before.
Yeah.
Does the student do the FAFSA or do the family members do the FAFSA?
Yeah, so it's best to do it with the student and the family all together. But either way, either one of you can submit it. Like I said, it's best to do it together, just because you'll need all of your information. But at the end of the day, as long as one of you submits it, then it's fine. And so some other notes about dependency status. So even if a student is planning to self-support themselves financially, the federal government, they look at relationship status as far as dependency goes. You're able to add schools, but just make sure you take advantage of that, and you're able to go back and add schools as needed. Um, One of the other big things is always include step parent information that has to be included on the FAFSA application, and then listing the degree that is being pursued currently. So degree status can affect the amounts of your aid that you get, and can actually reduce the amount of aids you get. So make sure that when you're doing your degree status that you choose a bachelor's if you are pursuing that, just to make sure you get maximum financial aid. So the expected family contribution, what is this? It's the number that we use to determine your financial aid eligibility for grants in certain thresholds. So basically, we get the EFC from the FAFSA application. Then there's a predetermined range of awards, and we look at your EFC, look at that chart, and that's how we award your student. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about financial aid awards within the federal and state. So federal funding, you have to be enrolled typically 6 hours in order to be eligible for federal financial aid. As far as student loans goes, with federal Pell grants, again, those are need-based aid with the EFC coming into play. Your EFC has to be roughly lower than 5,840 to be eligible for a federal Pell grant. Your student can be eligible for the federal SEOG grant with a zero EFC, and then a federal subsidized loan that's accruing zero interest The maximum for a freshman dependent student is 3,500. That amount increases as a student goes through a sophomore and junior status. And all of these awards are split evenly between the fall and spring semester. The other type of aid would be a federal unsubsidized loan. This loan is accruing interest at the point of origination, and the maximum award for a freshman is 2,000, and that will remain the same throughout the entire 4 years of schooling. Um, and again, that's split between fall and spring. Yep, another question?
Matt, will you just one more time explain the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized? I know you
Yeah.
said it, but could you just explain it one more time?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the subsidized loan does not accrue interest while your student is in school in half time. So as long as your student's enrolled half time and working towards their degree and on track to graduate, that loan's never going to accrue interest until the student's graduated. Both these loans have to be repaid back 6 months post graduation. The interest rate's fixed on both of them. But again, with the subsidized loan, that's the good loan. The unsubsidized loan, we call it bad loan, even though it's still a really good loan because of the low interest rate. But that's kind of how you're able to differ from them because or differ from them because the unsubsidized loan does accrue interest while the student's in school. But again, both these loans do not have to be repaid back until 6 months post graduation. And with the unsubsidized loan, the interest is minimal compared to a lot of other loans. So the other type of aid that comes from the FAFSA is the state aid. I'm sure you all are familiar with keys. The state aid submitted, again, it's splitted between fall and spring semester. The other thing is the CAP grant that the state of Kentucky has. As long as you're enrolled half time and you are receiving the Pell grant, you can receive the CAP grant. The maximum amount award for the year is 2,900 for this year. That is again split evenly. Um, but these are the two biggest state funding options and the most popular ones that students will incur. Yeah.
How do students know if they're eligible for these two types of grants?
So as far as the keys funding goes, you should be able to see that if you're a Kentucky high school student, you are typically eligible for keys in a public school. You're able to access your KEA account, KHEAA. You're able to access that account, um, and then go to that website and determine. It'll let you know what your keys amount is. That should be something that if you do have it, you can work with your high school counselor. If you don't have it and you need to contact us, we can assist you with that as well. With the CAP grant, again, it's just being eligible for the Pell grant and then going to the being a resident of Kentucky, which basically means attending a Kentucky high school. And then also the enrollment comes into the fact with that with being 6 hours. So that would be the two eligibilities. Yeah.
A question from a family member. If you got these grants last year, does the amount change?
Yeah, so the amount does change with the Pell Grant. The Pell Grant's solely based on your expected family contribution. So every year, if your EFC is different, then your Pell Grant amount's going to change. With the CAP grants and the Pell Grant, both of these amounts were actually increased from the previous year. So these maximums are new in the highest amount they've been. So there's the potential for if the state government increases it again, they can do that as well. The CAP grant, the amounts will only fluctuate by enrollment. So it doesn't matter what your EFC is, as long as you are Pell eligible, you can receive the maximum 2,900, no matter what your EFC is, as long as it's Pell eligible and you're enrolled half time. I'm sorry, full time for the maximum amount. So some additional funding options. The Parent Plus loan's the first step. It's available via the FAFSA.gov. The parent will have to create an account and apply for that account or apply for that loan under their account. This loan does have a higher interest rate, but with this loan, there's no set limit. So it'll be under the parent's name. But with this loan, you'll have no limit like the 3,500, 4,500. You can take up to the cost of attendance with this loan. If you don't want to do that, you can also look at alternative or outside loans. We have a private loan comparison tool chart on our website. We're not allowed to assist with private loans, but we do have that tool to allow you all to make the best decision for yourselves. And then also another funding option would be a payment plan. So you're able to enroll in a payment plan at the beginning of each semester. It's $50 to enroll, but you're able to split the outstanding balance throughout each month. You just have to be enrolled by a certain date, and I'll get to that date later on as well. So timelines. Bills are posted during the first week of August and January for the respective semesters. Bills are due, or you're able to enroll in a payment plan by the 22nd of each month. So that 22nd of each month is typically the due date. That's the way how it's always been. I don't know if it's official yet for next year, but that's what I'd go ahead and anticipate as well. Um, but yep, the 22nd of every month in order, if you do an enroll in payment plan, that way your student's able to not have a hold on their account and they can register for classes. So financial aid awards for returning students, those are posted during the month of July. Um, Awards will pay out roughly 10 days before the start of their first class always. And then incoming students awards should be posted and notifications should be sent out by March 1st. So just some financial holds to look out for. The past due student account, like I said, if the balance is not paid off by the 22nd or you're not enrolled in a payment plan, this is a hold that can be put on the student's account. This is a hold that can prevent registration. And then also late fees will be assessed as well. The other thing is satisfactory academic progress. In order to maintain your federal financial aid, you have to meet 3 requirements. The first is to have a GPA above 2.0. The second is to complete 2/3 of the classes you attempt. And the third one's a rare threshold, but something that does occur typically if you are in college for an extended amount of time. You can't exceed 150% of your program's intended graduation date. So if you do exceed that, then your federal financial aid can be cut off. However, if you are placed on satisfactory academic progress in your My UK portal, there will be an option to appeal. So we do strongly encourage you to go ahead and appeal that because we understand stuff happens and that is a way for you to access your financial aid again. Yeah.
Another question from a family member. If students are using their GI Bill, do they enroll in a payment plan or is that automatically assessed, or is there a grace period or due date? Is that all the same if they're using a GI Bill?
Yeah, so if they're using a GI Bill, typically it all gets paid off at the very beginning with the GI Bill and the tuition waiver. With that, we do have a veteran certification coordinator here, not our office, but at the University of Kentucky. Her name's Amy Southwood. She'd be more than willing to assist you with that if you haven't already contacted her. But typically those get put in at the beginning of the semester, and that way you shouldn't have to enroll in a payment plan unless you have like housing and dining charges that it doesn't cover.
Yeah, Amy Southland is great in our Veterans Resource Center. If your student is a veteran, then you definitely want to get them connected to that resource immediately because they're really helpful in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, she is super helpful, and military benefits are really not our specialty. So please reach out to her, and she will absolutely assist you. One of the last things I wanted to talk about is just additional scholarship opportunities besides the automatic academic awards. Scholarship Universe, this is our new scholarship portal. We're loading new scholarships in weekly. This has a ton of UK departmental scholarship awards as well as Lexington and Kentucky awards. So your student can just log into this with their link blue information. And then once they're logged in, they can just basically enter their criteria and it'll bring up a list of scholarships that they're eligible for. So if you need help with submitting the FAFSA, they have live chats, they have phones, emails, however you want to contact them. If you do need FAFSA help, you can contact their lines. If you need help as well, we can assist you as well. You can, again, book an appointment with a member of our counseling team. We can absolutely assist you. You can go to our financial aid website, you can email us, give us a call. However you want to contact us, we are here to assist you all. Again, thank you all for having me. I really enjoyed speaking to you all. If you have any questions, I'd be more than willing to take them. But if not, I won't take any more of your night. Again, thank you all.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate you being here tonight. We like I said, we are recording this presentation and we'll have it available on our Cat Chat Live website tomorrow. But I just want to give another encouragement for you, if you have questions about financial aid, the financial aid office is amazing and definitely willing to speak with you. I encourage you and your student to contact them early rather than later. Make sure that you have all your questions answered and you know sort of what's the what in the financial arena before next year. But again, thank you so much, Matt, for being here. Appreciate you. And thank you everyone who was here with us this evening. If you have additional questions, feel free to put those in the chat and we'll be happy to respond at a later date. All right. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.